Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Buddhang saranang gacchami. Dhammang saranang gacchami. Sanghang saranang gacchami. Dutiyampi buddhang saranang gacchami. Dutiyampi dhammang saranang gacchami. Dutiyampi sanghang saranang gacchami. Tatiyampi buddhang saranang gacchami. Tatiyampi dhammang saranang gacchami. Tatiyampi sanghang saranang gacchami. Panatipata veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami. Adinnadana veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami. Kamesu miccacara veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami. Musawada veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami. Surameraya majjapama dattana veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Spend a quiet moment in meditation. Watch our breath. Just be aware of the breath coming in, the breath going out. In the spirit of our topic, our study, we will reflect on the impermanence of the breath. This breath is our life, yet we cannot hold it back. We take it in, and then we give it back. In, out. To help you focus, if some of you are new, you can try a bit of counting. Breathe in, breathe out, count 1. In, out, 2. In, out, 3. In, out, 4. In, out, 5. Let's start again, 1 to 5, 1 to 5. Normal, relaxed breathing. Don't force the breath, very important. Natural, relaxed, calm breathing. The calmer the breath, the better. So count 1 to 5, 1 to 5. If you like, you can count up to 10. But don't count beyond 10. Don't count more than 10, it's too big. Don't count less than 5, too small. So anytime you count wrongly or you overcount, any mistake, just start with 1 again. Don't worry about the number. It's just to help us push away immediate distractions so that we keep our mind on the breath. Normal, relaxed breathing, sometimes deep breath, sometimes shallow breath. Just be at peace with your breath. This is the breath that brings us awakening. This is the same breath that the Buddha uses. And smile as you watch the breath. When you're happy, smile. It's easier to focus. In, out, smile. Down and then smile. Smile in your heart. Now, counting may not work for everyone. There are some people who may not like counting. It's quite normal. Some people like counting. Children usually like counting. So if you do not find counting helpful, you don't have to do it. You can go straight into the second stage, in-out stage. First stage is counting stage. Second stage is in-out. The breath comes in, note it as in. When the breath goes out, note it as out. In, out, in, out. This is only what is called a teaching exercise, so I will be talking a lot so that you remember the steps. Then you practice on your own. Then you can ask questions anytime you like during question time through social media. In, out, in, out. Smile. Smile as often as you like. Smoothens your meditation. If you feel sleepy or tired, occasionally just take a deep breath and then just breathe out once or twice. It's all right to fall asleep during your meditation, especially when you're tired. You have to respect your body. When you're tired, you may fall asleep. In other words, your body is resting while sitting. This is the way some meditating monks rest. They don't lie down, they sleep that way. So when you have rested, then you wake up, continue your meditation. In, out, in, out. Now, if you do all this properly, your breath will relax and slow down. Your body needs less oxygen, so to speak. You're still breathing, but in a more subtle, relaxed way. You will notice there is a growing space between the breaths. Within and the space, out, space. The spaces are not even, sometimes long, sometimes short, it doesn't matter. The longer the spaces, the better. Just let the space happen. You cannot force it. The spaces is the third stage. Third stage, the keyword is space. Stage 1, stage 2, you can make an effort and direct your meditation. Stage 3 and 4, undirected. You cannot direct it. You can only let go, renounce, renunciation. Let go. The more you let go, the longer the space, the more peaceful you feel. And if you do it properly, the spaces will brighten up and you feel joyful. Sometimes the joy comes in a split second. You feel really nice and peaceful. But that is a little window you can see into how your mind can be really peaceful. Remember those moments. Smile at the spaces, smile at the peace, don't do anything. When the space arises, no need to count, no need to say in out anymore. That is the fourth stage. Fourth stage is called silent stage. Silence. So peaceful, we don't want to say anything. We just watch it as it is. You will know what to do when it comes. Beginners probably may not get stage 3 and 4. It's all right. No rush. Work with stage 1 and 2 first. Slowly, stage 3 will come, and then stage 4. So do your counting. Watch the in, out, and see what happens. Don't forget the smiling. If there are distractions, you hear a sound, don't follow the sound. Just smile at it and say, let go, let go. Tell the mind to let go of the sound. Don't think about the sound and you get distracted. You feel a little bit of ticklishness or slight itchiness. Feeling, just notice as feeling, don't bother. Unless the pain is strong and your posture is not right, then adjust yourself calmly, mindfully, and then continue with your meditation. There are thoughts, those thoughts are very strong, then stop your meditation, don't fight the thoughts. Welcome them, smile at them, and then let them go. Just like you welcome guests at the door, say hello, and then goodbye, let go. Let go of them, smile, let go. And go back to your breath. It's simple routine like that. Keep on doing it. Keep on doing it. If you can't remember, watch the video again. All the videos have got meditation instructions of either breath or loving kindness. Now we come to what is called review. Review means you spend a bit of time to remember the good feelings, joy, peace, lightness. Remember them. They will help you in your future meditations or whenever you need inner peace. Remember these wonderful good moments. These are moments of wholesome good karma. Also, detect any problems you face, any distractions. Try to notice what brought the distraction, the conditions, and study them, and then see how you can get rid of the distractions in the future practice. So this is what we do in the review period at the end. Review. So spend as much time as you like reviewing. Here, I'll just keep it short. Before we end, we just slowly open our eyes so that we come back to this world. Slowly, we come back. This is called just sitting. Just sitting, not meditating, but just sitting calmly, mindfully. We begin our meditation slowly, gently. We end it also slowly, gently. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Okay, now we will go on with our talk. Right, today we continue with our study of the 5 aggregates, and we're going to look at Saṅkhārā, especially. Now, for those of you who are new, and also by way of revision, let us look at what are meant by the 5 aggregates. The 5 aggregates is one of those sets, teaching sets. The Buddha often uses very popular set to describe what we are, our being. What are we? Okay, this question, what are we, is very important in Buddhism. Not who are we. Now, there's a big difference there. I'll come to this a little later. Now, what do we know, right? We know we have a body, so we start with the body, right? And then we know that we have a body. How do we know? Because we have a mind. So these two are indisputable. That's why Buddhism is said to be empirical. We start with what we know. Okay, I mean, if we talk about we believe in God or what, or even believe in the Buddha, it's quite tricky. How do we prove that God exists? We have never met the Buddha, but the proof of the Buddha is in the teaching. That is a wonderful thing, because when you practice the teaching, you know it works, you feel happy, and that is what is important. All right, the teaching. So we have body, we have mind. So we keep on asking, what is the body? Now, the body is made up of solid parts, both bones and skin, teeth, body hair, and so on, right? These are the earth aspect, right? So earth element are the solid aspects, or in modern science we say solid. And then there is liquid. Most of our body is liquid, right? H2O. And it's not just H2O, by the way, it's all kinds of liquid, urine, blood, sweat, tears, lymph, and so on, right? And then third part is heat. Of course, the Buddha uses the word fire. The Buddha is not talking about science, he's talking about reflection on the body, made up of fire, which is heat. Fire actually refers to decay, the body burning up, oxidation, digestion, and so on, all right? So the body is decaying, actually. The moment we are born, the body starts decaying, but we give nice words to it, we say growing up and so on. And then, of course, there is wind. Wind here refers to movement of the body, of course, movement of air within the body, the gases in our body. Also, interestingly, this refers to peristalsis, the muscular action of the esophagus, for example, how our food is pushed down and how waste material is pushed out of the body, movement. So these are the 4 aspects of our body. Our body is made up of 4 elements. Then the mind, what is the mind? The mind is made up of feelings. The mind feels the body, all right? We sit too long, we feel tired, and so on, okay? We are tired, then we sit down, we feel good. Okay, so you have this kind of different kinds of feeling. And then there is perception, right? You perceive, you can say, oh, this is nice, I'm resting. Right? You perceive it, you like it, or you dislike this tiredness. That's perception. We talk about feeling, perception previously. In fact, we started talking about the body and then feeling and perception. So if you miss all this, you can go back, look for the videos and watch this. And it's really worth watching. And then today, we're going to talk about formations or Saṅkhārā. So notice this, the third aspect of the mind. And then, of course, the fourth one is the most important, consciousness. Notice consciousness is put straddling between mind and body. Because in the suttas, the Buddha always talks of the conscious body. Sa vinyanaka kaya. Sa means with, vinyana, consciousness, and the ka is adjective. Sa vinyanaka kaya, the conscious body, right? So another way of looking at the body is made up of the 5 senses, eye, ear, nose, tongue, and body, and all this. They're called faculties because they are conscious and they function. All right. And of course, the mind, consciousness works with the mind. We'll be talking a bit about consciousness, maybe 2 or 3 sessions at least, in 2 months' time at least, because next month's talk also will be on Sankara part 2, because Sankara is a very difficult subject. Right? So these are the 5 aggregates. Body, or rather form, rupa, the brown part, And then number 2, notice 1 is body, that's rupa, usually translated as form, rupa. And then 2 feelings, vedana. And then 3 at 12 o'clock is sanya, perception. And then 4, sankara. Notice R ending, the last vowel is an A with a macron over it. The line over the A is called a macron, makes the vowel long. R, 2 counts. And if you know music, it's 2 counts. R, sankara. There is also the form sankara. We will see that later. Formations, and of course there is consciousness, which is the stage on which all this happened. All right, so this you can see there are some words to help you understand. Consciousness helps us to know things through the physical senses. All right, and actually the real knowing happens in the mind. Okay, what happens at the senses is normally called cognition. Cognition is a broad term meaning to know or to sense, if you like. This is a very deep subject we will talk about under consciousness. Then feeling is basically sensation. We feel different through the different organs, eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, and also the mind. All right. And then there is perception. Perception recognizes what we experience now by referring to our past experiences. That's the meaning of recognition. You notice cognition for consciousness and then recognition. So we go back to the consciousness, the cognition, we recognize. That's how we decide we like this experience or we don't like this experience, or we ignore it because we have not experienced it before. Then there is volition. This one is the karmic aspect. Okay, so we have to be very careful once we reach this level of formations. Volition means karma or karmic reactions, right? So in essence, a few minutes, 5 minutes, these are the 5 aggregates, okay? Okay, so now let's go on. Now, so this word Saṅkhārā, let's look at this word Saṅkhārā. How is it formed? Just look at how it is resolved, as we say it. Resolved, that means broken up into parts. In Pali, they treat words like plants. You have the root, you have the stem, and of course you have the full seedling, the full shoot, if you like. So here, the sang is a prefix, like English com or con, meaning together. And then kir actually Sanskrit is a root meaning to do, right? So kir becomes kara, saṅkhārā. It is something that we do, something the mind does, okay? So saṅkhārā, plural, this is one word. At this time, just know the words first. Be familiar with our tools first, okay? Now remember, when you learn Pali, especially Pali of the suttas, do not fix the meaning. The meanings are not fixed. Know the basic meaning, and then in different contexts, the meaning may slightly change. Not say change, that certain aspects of the feelings are highlighted. So you must be aware of that. Because Pali is a language of the mind. It's not a technical language. It's not talking about science and machines, it's talking about the mind. And as you know, the mind is very tricky. There are many shades and hues of the mind. So the language also is like that. So we learn to let go when we look at the words. Then you understand better, okay? So there you are. We have this word Saṅkhārā. So this is singular. Notice the last A is underlined. It is a normal short A, 1 count, Saṅkhārā. Okay. Normally we pronounce Indian style Sankara. Okay. Plural Sankara. Okay. Sankara. Okay. So my name also is like that. You know, when the Indians from India see my name, they normally smile because they thought I was a girl. Because normally in India, Piya is only given to girls. Actually, it's Piya. The one given to women is Piya. The last vowel is open, we say, and that's feminine. Whereas my Piya is short. It's like this. It's singular. It's one sound, one tone, one measure. Piya, okay? So this is Pali, long and short, very important in Pali. Saṅkhārā, singular. Why is it important? For example, where our arhats are concerned, we normally don't speak of them having Saṅkhārā. We say they have Sankara. They're just those natural formations. They don't create karma. So we translate this formation without the S. Then you have the famous plural, Saṅkhārā, okay, long ending. And these are formations with the S, all right? So just like all this information sink in, then you naturally remember them. Okay, then we have an adjective. Adjective of Sankara is Saṅkhātā. This is an adjective. Saṅkhātā means conditioned. I will be talking a lot about this today. Saṅkhārā are conditioned things. Conditioned things. Okay. So the world is conditioned, Saṅkhātā. Then asaṅkhātā. Notice you got the A in front. Now in this case, it's the opposite, asaṅkhātā. Like for example, in English, you got typical, atypical. So very similar. The language belongs to same family. Asaṅkhātā. And yes, you guessed it right. It means unconditioned. So this refers to only one thing, nirvana, unconditioned, right? No conditions. You can't say anything about it, right? It's free from the world, opposite of the world, so to speak. Yeah, you can speak something about it, but that's not nirvana. So Saṅkhātā, asaṅkhātā. Okay, they're all short vowels except the second one. The second sang is counted as two counts. Sang. Then you will have the whole bundle of, in terms of aggregates, they call Saṅkhārā Khanda. Saṅkhārā Khanda, the aggregate of the formations. Now normally if it's in this kind of what you call compound, the last vowel is short, Saṅkhārā Khanda, and the extra K, an infix, is added in for easier pronunciation. So you got to pronounce as Saṅkhārā, and there's a glottal stop, your breath, your glottis pushes against the air passage. There's what's called a glottal stop. It's called a glottal. The glottis pushes against the air passage. So Saṅkhārā, like in Malay. In English, we don't have glottal stop, right? In Malay, you have glottal stop. Like we say charit, or bedok, okay? We don't say bedok. We say bedoka, that's English already. Saṅkhārā Khanda, okay? And that is formations as aggregate, or what we normally speak of as mental formations, right? And then finally, you have this important word we'll be learning today, Saṅkhārā Loka. Saṅkhārā Loka. Now, you all know Loka means world, like dunya in Malay, okay? Dunya actually is Arabic, I think. So Saṅkhārā Loka refers to the world of formations, the conditioned universe. We'll be talking about this a lot today. So these are the keywords we will be using. Now, as I said, we will look at how these words are used. When we talk about formations, we are also talking about the different understanding of the worlds, okay? Now, first, we know there is this world around us, the universe. So the early Buddhism and the commentaries speak of three kinds of worlds. The first is called the world of space, or space-time world. In modern science, we say space-time world. But in the commentaries, in the sutta, we say the world of space. Okasa. Okasa means space. Okasa also means opportunity, chance, okay? So you have this space, this chance to live on this world. The world of location as well as motion, the physical world, time and space. The second meaning of loka is the world of beings, satta loka, including human beings, of course, right? So we have all the animals, all the living beings, from the the lowest animal with a brain, with a mental process, from the jellyfish up to the most intelligent beings, elephants and dolphins and humans. So this refers to the cycle of life, death, and rebirth which all these animals go through. Of course, in Buddhism, we say all these different kinds of animals are manifestation of consciousness. Depending on how the consciousness behaves, you get that kind of form, animal form, human form, divine form, okay? So this is the world of beings, Sattva Loka, or Sanskrit Sattva Loka, all right? The third one is the one we're talking about a lot this time. It is the world of formations, Saṅkhārā Loka. Okay, this one is the tricky one. The Saṅkhārā Loka is the world we construct for ourselves. By listening to me now, you're constructing this world of formations in your own mind. You're learning things. You say, oh, now I see, or oh, now this is this is that. So you're forming ideas. Your mind is changing, growing. You're having new opinions. This is the forming. These ideas, these new learning are forming in your mind. So it's called the world of formation, Saṅkhārā Loka. You do it well, you'll be happy. But normally we get angry, we see things, we get upset, or we want this, we don't want that. That also is Saṅkhārā. And then we store this in our mind, and then we become those things. So Saṅkhārā is a very broad term. How we live and how this living affect us, our being. It's called the world of formations. And this is the one that the Buddha is teaching for us how to deal with this and to overcome this, the conditioned existence. So notice, here's the word condition is used, Saṅkhārā. So these are the three worlds. The world of space, Okasa Loka, the world of beings, Sattva Loka, the world of formations, Saṅkhārā Loka. Okay. Now we look at the most important one, the world of formations. And you can see the reference here in case you want to read more, SD 17.6, section 313. Okay. So this Saṅkhārā Loka refers to the virtual world that we create for ourselves. It's only real to you and no one else. You have created this world yourself, your ideas of things, ideas of people, your emotions, and so on and so forth. This is a mind-made world inside you, so to speak. But you project it outwards. So, of course, this world is based on our senses, eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, the five physical senses, plus the mind. These are called the six sense faculties. We often speak of the six sense faculties, not just five. Now, this is a story, a Greek story of this sculptor called Pygmalion. This young man is a sculptor. One day he made this really beautiful statue of a woman. It's so beautiful that he himself fell in love with it. So we are like that, you know, we create these images with what we see, what we hear, what we smell, what we taste, what we touch, what we think, what we imagine. We fall in love with it, we like it, all right? Of course, there's the opposite also, but here we like it. So the Greeks are very good in making all this into a story, which are psychological and very useful in explaining deeper aspects of how the mind works. So the name of this sculptor is Pygmalion. It's very famous, Pygmalion. He falls in love with this statue so much that he wants his statue to be alive. So he prays to Aphrodite, the god of love. He said, please make this statue alive into a real girl. I want to marry her, something like that, right? So, and this actually happened, you know. So this statue became Galatea. That the name is at the top, Galatea. And you have a story about them. In fact, this story is so famous, it's made in, George Bernard Shaw wrote a book called Pygmalion based on this story. And then later it became a movie called My Fair Lady based on Pygmalion, right? And then the Galatea is that girl who first speaks pidgin English and then became a very good a polished speaker of English, and so on, right? So this is how we create our world around us, like Pygmalion, all right? So this is the world of formation, Saṅkhārā. So there is virtual reality, which we create and live in, and there is this true reality going on around us, which we are not aware of yet. And our purpose of being a Buddhist is to notice these two kinds of reality, the one that we create and the one that is real out there. This is not difficult to see at first. For example, when you see a rainbow is only real from where you are. And then the light source comes from a certain angle, and then there are water droplets in the air, okay? Then you see rainbow, right? There are stories about if you go to the end of a rainbow, there's a crock of gold there. If you can reach the end, that is, you will never be able to reach it because you can only see the rainbow from that distance. So that is your virtual reality. The true reality is not there, nothing there. Same thing with a mirage in a desert. It looks very real. You see a city there, you see water, you see an oasis, but it's not there. It's from the angle you are, from the heat, and so on. So virtual reality is what you create, but true reality is what is really out there. So our senses, in other words, are the creators and directors and producers of this movie in which we are the main star, the six senses. These are the six actors. They filter information. Right? You don't hear everything, you know. You filter it. You only take in what you like, and you push out what you don't like, and you don't care about what you don't understand. That's why a lot of people think, oh, suttas are so difficult, and then they ignore it, you know. Now, this is the problem, you know. When you like something, it fits your craving, in your unconscious, the latent tendency of craving. When you get angry, it fits your hatred in your latent tendency. And when you ignore something, it fits your ignorance in the latent tendency. That is why, as human beings, we have the capacity of knowledge. It's very important to learn. That's what being human is about. Now, our eyes blind us, our ears deafen us. We see what we want to see, right? So here you have this mirror where this girl thinks that she's fat, you know, so she cuts down eating. We call it anorexia, for example. No? So we see what we like, so to speak, and we hear what we like, and then we interpret it in our own way. That's our world, and very often, of course, we are wrong, and then that gets us into a lot of trouble. So that's why we need to have reality. Okay, so Sankara is also the condition. Here we have three famous sentences. Some we already know what this means. Sabbe Saṅkhārā anicca. Sabbe is all, plural, all. Sabbe Saṅkhārā, plural, formations. Anicca, again, long ending plural, impermanent. All formations, all condition. In this case, it translates all formation things are impermanent. You can also say all formations are impermanent, but when you say conditioned things, it's easier to understand, especially for people not familiar with Pali. All conditioned things are impermanent. All things in this world are impermanent. That's the meaning here. Sabbe Saṅkhārā. Oh, we forgot the. This is a funny thing. We actually put the line over the A, but now it seems to have disappeared. There should be a macron over the last vowel, Saṅkhārā. Sabbe Saṅkhārā dukkha. All conditioned things are unsatisfactory. You can say all conditioned things are suffering if you like, because in our mind, we don't like it, okay? Now comes a surprising part, something different. Sabbe Dhamma Anatta. 1 and 2, the second word, the noun is Sankara, but in the case of the third saying, Sabbe Dhamma Anatta. How do we translate this? all things are non-self. Now, this word things is a simplified translation. Dhamma has so many possible translations. You can translate Dhamma as conditioned things, conditions, states, mental states, right? And of course, things also possible. Dhamma also means teaching. Dhamma also means truth. Dhamma means good. You have 100 over senses of the word Dhamma alone. It's just like the English word thing. Whenever you're not sure, you say, what is that thing? Okay, so the word thing can have hundreds of meanings. Okay, so Dhamma is like that. Sabbe Dhamma Anatta. But here, we translate Dhamma to mean the principles behind everything. Okay, I'm going to talk about this a bit more later. This is just to introduce you to these 3 lines first. They found in Dhammapada 227, 228, 229. In this Dhammapada, there are 4 lines, and this is only one of the lines. Okay, so you can look up this in your free time. This is to show you how Sankara fit in and how Dhamma fit in. Okay, so just take it like that first. Don't worry about the details yet. Sabbe Sankara anicca, sabbe Sankara dukkha, sabbe Dhamma anattati. Okay, when you hear the word T, it just means like close quote. Okay. So let's look at Sankara as formations again. So here we have a bit of revision. We have the 4 elements: earth, water, fire, wind. And then that's our body. Okay, the 4 elements are our body, which interacts with consciousness. Okay, notice the lines go back and forth. We interact with consciousness through contact. Our eye, for example, sees sense object. Then there is contact. Our ear hears sound. There is contact. Contact here means stimulus in science, stimulus, and so on. Contact. So the meeting of the sense faculty, sense object, and sense consciousness. Sense consciousness or attention. Okay, that's contact. So it's a triangle of experience. Notice the 3 arrows there. Okay, and then feeling arises. If you remember in lesson 1, we talk about how feeling arises from contact. Okay, and then feeling is one of the mental factors. Okay, on the right is mind, and the rest are mental factors. Cetasika, this is Abhidhamma already, simple Abhidhamma. Then you have feeling rising from the mind. Then you have perception connected with the mind. The perception also puts feedback back into the mind through recognition. And then there is formations. All right, which also goes back to consciousness. So it goes round and round here. Okay, so these are the mental factors that work together. Abhidhamma go into detail saying, oh, how many, they give numbers to each of these and so on. It doesn't matter here. So this is a summary of the 5 aggregates in action. So remember, the 5 aggregates are not separate 5 things. They interact like the atoms and molecules in the atom diagram. So they're interacting all the time. This is just a diagram, a frozen diagram, to help us understand the various parts of our being. So this is found in 17.4, section 1, if you want to read more details. Okay, now we come to something very interesting, something called meme. I'm not sure how many of you have heard of this word. In simple terms, a meme is anything that only wants to replicate itself, is only interested in multiplying itself. That's all. That's a meme. Notice meme, me, okay? It is a very interesting idea about to explain to you the nature of self, the nature of Saṅkhārā. Here in the OED, Oxford English Dictionary, a meme is defined as an element of a culture that may be considered to be passed on by non-genetic means, especially imitation. The keyword is imitation. A meme wants you to do what it is doing, be what it is, basically, a meme. This idea is a very powerful idea. Now, here you see this famous drawing in the Sistine Chapel, where the Pope lives in the Vatican City. Very famous drawing by Michelangelo on the creation of man. Of course, here you see Adam as a big adult, but still a baby, actually, newborn. And then God is drawn there on the right-hand side. And you see the lines. Here, those lines, the art critic is showing us how everything reflects itself. Man reflects God. Man is a copy of God. Man is created in God's image. It is also true to say God is created in man's image, okay? But this is the point. There's beautiful lines to show you. For example, you see the face, the nose to the nose, shoulder to shoulder, and then after that, the hips to hip, knee to knee, and then toe to toe. They're all nice synchrony, okay? This is the greatness of Michelangelo's art. These pictures to show you that man is a copy of God. So this is the idea in the God religions, that we have to like follow this being above us, so to speak. So this is the original meme, if you like. You have no choice, but you got to copy this. And the link is the finger touching each other. You know? So this is the first meme. Huh? This is a beautiful image showing the idea of how we have no way of doing our own thing. We have to copy what we have been taught to do, something like that, all right? And of course, in literature, you have in Alice in Wonderland, you have this Tweedledum and Tweedledee. They're a very sweet couple. The characters in Alice in Wonderland, they don't seem to have their own personality. They're not complete. They are always together. They are like Siamese twins, except they're fortunately they're not jointed. You know, they are separate. But effectively, they are Siamese twins. One will say something, and the other will complete the words. So they go like that. You know, like loving husband and wife. Husband says something, wife will complete it. Wife says something, husband will complete it. Something like that. They will never say complete things together. And then they're incomplete, in other words. So this meme makes us incomplete, and we're always looking for something to complete ourselves. Of course, some of you already know Plato had the same idea, explaining how human beings originated. Human beings started off like Tweedledum and Tweedledee. Only thing, they were actually fused together in like a round ball, back to back, you know. And they were like, they moved by rolling around, according to Plato, okay, Socrates' student. So original humans were like that. They were like a round ball, 2 arms, 2 legs, 2 heads, but they were like Siamese twins, back to back, and they move around by rolling. And they decided to get together, became very intelligent, to form a mountain to reach up to the heavens. And this alarmed the gods. They didn't want these beings to reach up to Olympus, you know, to the heavens. So Zeus sent down his thunderbolt and zap. All the human beings were cut into 2 separate. So they became separate beings. And because of that, says Plato, today we have to get married. We look for our other couple, you know. So we look for a female couple, opposite sex or same sex. We have something missing and looking for that missing part. So this is Greek mythology. So you have this idea of something missing in our life, and we're looking for it. This meme wants us to look for the missing half, that we think something is missing from our lives. This is called dukkha also, by one way of looking at dukkha. No? We think something is missing in our life, and we look to fill it with money, power, pleasure, and so on. The point is, if you look at Buddhism, it's the opposite of memes. Okay. Now, if you look at this beautiful Sistine Chapel in Rome, it looks amazing. Any big building, even the Buddhist temple, you go to Japan, you see huge Buddhist temples. One of the most beautiful temples in the world, the Todaiji, is made all of wood without a single nail. It's really beautiful. So all these big buildings are there as memes to attract us. We want to go there. We want to go in. We want to become members of this wonderful religion with this big building. So you see everywhere where temples have big buildings or churches and so on, people want to join because of the big buildings. They love being in the big buildings. You feel safe, you feel good, you feel proud and so on, right? So this is the idea of this building. They are memes, they attract people, they want to multiply what the builders of these buildings had in mind. But look at the Buddha, he has no big buildings. People give him Jetavana, yes, but they're mostly trees, and the Buddha's little hut is in a tree, amongst the trees. So Buddhism is just opposite of memes. And what is the opposite of memes? Difference. The Buddha teaches us that we are different people, different things. Things are always different. It never turns out the way we want it, right? The world is different from what we want it to be. Buddhism is about difference. Look at how amazing we can talk about Buddhism using this one word. Buddhism is about difference. What is difference? Change, becoming other. It's different from what we want. It is different from what we thought. It is different from what we wish. Another word for this is impermanence, right? So impermanence also is what happens when different things arise, change arise. And of course, you can look at the caterpillar, they go through different stages, we say, all right? So first, there is the egg, the little egg, you might not notice it, in your garden on the leaves, and then this egg grows into a caterpillar because it eats the leaves, right? So it grows, and then the caterpillar eats and eats, and it becomes a pupa with pupates. So there is this cocoon, right? And it's growing in there, and you cannot make it grow faster. You have to leave it like that, and then it grows into a beautiful, here is a monarch butterfly. But the sad thing is, a small butterfly, like the grass yellow, small little butterfly, you see a small yellow butterfly, its lifespan is only 1 week, just 1 week, and it's not very long, maybe even shorter if it's got eaten up by lizards or some other animals. Whereas a butterfly like this, monarch, a bigger ones, they live a bit longer. But even then, it's only 9 months, around 9 months. So the life is not very long. Oh yeah, we think that our human life is very long. Yeah, we live much longer lives, maybe 100 years. In Singapore, you can get to 100 years. And the old Prime Minister of Malaysia is reaching what? Mid-90s already. Healthy life, no? If only more Malaysians are healthy like that, okay? So human life average is 300 years, okay? Now there is an interesting teaching in early Buddhism on the relativity of time. And this story I've told before, but I want to tell again because it's a very beautiful story about relativity of time. So there is this beautiful Deva. He's got quite a number of beautiful Devis or female angels, if you like, who are his wives. So they're happily playing in the garden, some are in the trees plucking leaves and so on, very much like those colorful musical Hindi movies you see, lots of dancing and singing. But one of the Devis, one of the female deities, the time has come for her to die. Okay? Karma ripened and she dies. We say the Deva falls away. Okay, so she dies and she's reborn on earth. But the good thing is her karma is good. She remembers her past life. She was in the seven and then she lost the husband. She wants to go back there. So she lives a very good life, keeping the precepts and so on, So she, through her life, she lived very good, do dana and so on. Then she lives for about 70, 80, 90 years. And then she dies. And she's reborn back in the same garden. Now she was plucking flowers in the tree before that, and then poof, she disappeared. She's reborn. And then poof, she comes back there. Now she passed away in the morning, and she poof returns to Tawatingsa in the evening. The husband noticed she was missing, then found her and said, "My dear, where were you the whole day? We were looking for you." And then this Devi says, "Oh, I died and I was reborn on earth. I spent a whole lifetime, the whole lifespan, and I was doing all the good deeds, doing dana and so on. Then I'm reborn back here. Here I am, in the evening. And then the deva, the husband says, wow, oh, life on earth is so short now, only 80, 90, 100 years. So it's amazing, how these people live. Life is so short. Whereas in Tawatingsa, in other words, in the Tawatingsa heaven, there's a second heaven above our world. One day, one morning and night is only one lifespan on earth. Can you imagine the ratio there? So this Deva said, imagine these human beings, their life is so short and they're spending their lives frivolously. Shouldn't they be doing good deeds and practicing so that they can quickly, be reborn in happy states, right? Life is so short there, right? So this is a reflection on impermanence, okay? On that note, I'll give you a short break and we'll come back in 5 minutes time, okay?
Thank you, Piya. We'll come back in 5 minutes time. Please take a break. Meanwhile, if you have any question, you please enter your question in the chat box so that you don't forget. Or you can write them down and ask during the Q&A session. Thank you. Yeah, just hold on. Hold on. Not everybody's back yet. Okay, can you continue?
Okay, I hope everybody is back. We'll continue with the second part. Now, when we talk about formations, we're talking about ideas that form us, ideas that condition us, any kind of conditioning. And very often we are conditioned by religion since young, from the day that we learn to speak, we learn to go to school, right? So, of course, Buddhism also is one of the religions, whatever you call it. There is a system of faith and so on. Now, but if you look broadly at religions, we leave Buddhism aside for the moment because Buddhism has caused a lot of problems to the scholars. Many scholars do not know where Buddhism fits in, because Buddhism doesn't believe in a God idea, creator idea, no sin, things like that. So when we talk of religions in general, we first of all, the best that we know, they all have their holy books, and in other words, their teachings are word-based, and not just word-based. The word is power. Like especially in Chinese language, the written word seems alive. It has a power of its own. So it's not just word-based, it is power-centered. You have to believe in the word, because if you don't believe, then the religion is not strong. So they need you to believe, to have faith. Believe that you will know, okay? Whereas in Buddhism, we say, know, understand, that then only you believe, right? So this is the first kind of very common religion, word-based, scripture-based. The second kind is a bit more dark. It's thought-based religion, a cult, in other words. It depends on what the guru thinks, all right? It depends on the guru's person and personality and what he teaches. So these are the two main kinds of religions today. Now, you'll be surprised. In Buddhism, you do find features of these two. There are, for example, certain forms of Buddhism where you must believe the words of the teacher, all right? The words that the teacher say, okay, this is what you must believe to understand. In a sense, Abhidharma will be included here. Of course, you may wonder, what about suttas? Isn't that word-based? Yeah, that's interesting. If you take the sutta as itself, you don't investigate, you don't find the meaning of it, you don't practice it, you take it as it is, then it becomes word-based. We started studying suttas as words, but then they become teachings, and they become experience, and they become freedom. So we go through different stages, whereas in the word-based religion, the word is the beginning and the end. In the beginning was the word was with God, and the word is God, so it goes throughout kind of same level, straight line. But in Buddhism, it goes upwards. The word helps you to be free. And then there are also teachers who want you to believe only them, see? So you do have lots of cult figures in Buddhism, lots of celebrity teachers and so on. People love them, swear by them, form fan clubs and so on. So that's the cult-based Buddhism. So we do have aspects of this in Buddhism, but early Buddhism as taught by the Buddha is free from these two kinds of limitations or conditionings. In other words, Buddhism follows what's called truth. So we can call it as a truth religion. So world religions are either word-based or thought-based, and they're based on virtual reality, the reality defined by the preacher, by the pastor, by the guru. Whereas in the case of Buddhism teaches the way out. It's a truth-based method, and the idea is for us to know true reality, that things are impermanent. What does it mean to be impermanent? And we go on from there, okay? So in that sense, early Buddhism, and we have to qualify early Buddhism because not all Buddhism is like that. Early Buddhism is based on true reality, right? True reality means if you look at nature, now this is a beautiful montage of the same place during 4 seasons, like 4 seasons, 4 photos taken at different times, and they are put together, and you see this beautiful image of the 4 seasons, right? You see change, in other words. And Buddhism is natural in the sense the Buddha says, you look around, what do you see? You see change. You look at yourself, you look within you, you see change. And what happens when things change? You cannot be attached to them. If you try that, then you will suffer. There is suffering, see? And there is nothing that you can say, okay, that's it, that is the essence of things. Everything is changing, right? So this is reality-based teaching. And that is the nature of Buddhism, which is a truth religion. So now, when we talk about Buddhism as a truth religion, the truth also talks about learning. How do we learn? Right, so here you can see 17.4, section 322 to 324. Basically, there are 3 ways of learning. The first is through listening. Right now, you're listening. Right, you listen to me, and I listened to other teachers before when I was younger. So today we will include reading also here under listening. In Pali, it's called Sutta Maya Panya. Sutta, single T, 1 T. Sutta means whatever is heard. Maya means made. And Panya means wisdom. Sutta made wisdoms. Wisdom arising from listening. So the first one. So this is the most common in the Buddha's time. The Buddha will teach, and then the listeners listen, and they're called sāvaka. Sāvaka means listener, hearers. But remember, this word sāvaka is a special term. You know, we cannot simply use it. It means disciple, who are at least stream winners. Stream winners, once-returners, non-returners, arhats. They're called disciples because they have the discipline of moral virtue, mental concentration, and wisdom. The wisdom, the restraint of the path. So we are upasakas, upasikas. We try to get close up to the Dhamma to listen. Okay. The second way of learning is through thinking. Right? After listening to me, you think about it. You say, "Oh, this is wonderful," and then you begin to connect things. You heard talks before. You have talks from other people. You have read something. Now you put them all together. You say, "Wow, now this is better." Or I don't understand this. Or what's going on here? So you think about it, and then knowledge arises. This is cinta maya panya. So cinta means of the mind. From citta you get cinta. Well, of course, in Malay, cinta means something else. Cinta means love, right? So here, cinta in the Pali and Sanskrit means to think. It's the mind. So cinta maya means mind-made. Mind-made wisdom. Panya is wisdom. Wisdom arising through thinking. This is the second way we learn. Of course, notice we cannot stop there, right? So these are only ways of learning, but to grow. Third one is the most important way of learning, by mental cultivation. Bhavana maya panya. Wisdom arising from cultivation. How does this knowledge arise? How does this wisdom arise? When you meditate, this wisdom arises. What does it mean? Now we have learned all these suttas. The suttas tell us how to meditate, and you learn some meditation today also, the various methods. Then you reflect on impermanence. You cultivate loving kindness. You feel happy. You feel peaceful. Then you begin to see impermanence more real because you're experiencing it. Your mind is peaceful. This is first-hand knowledge. You see impermanence, you see death, you see suffering directly, and you begin to join the dotted lines together. You see the bigger picture. This is your own understanding, plus the thinking, plus the listening, It is your experiential knowledge. It is something you experience. It's first-hand, direct knowledge. So it is valid, very wonderful in that sense. So this is the most important kind of knowledge we must have through our practice of meditation. Okay. So we have wisdom arising through listening, through thinking, and through mental cultivation or meditation. 3 ways of learning. This is found in the commentaries. No? Now we look a bit more detail into each of this. How we learn. Okay. How do we learn? By listening? Here you see the Buddha teaching the 5 monks, and they're listening. The 5 monks already have some background in their religious life. So when they listen to the Buddha talking about the Four Noble Truths and the Eightfold Path, things became clearer. And of course, they could ask the Buddha questions. So one who is who has heard a lot and become wise, he is said to be well heard. Bahu means many, many hearing. In other words, well heard. Sutta is heard. Today, in modern time, we say well read. Okay, but in early Buddhism, we say well heard. Someone who's wise, who knows the sutta well. Today, we talk of academic knowledge, which is mostly through reading, and of course, discussion, things like that. Academic knowledge is kind of theoretical knowledge. You learn to look at theories and then argue about it. So that's academic. You might not even experience those things. So academicians can write Buddhist books and so on the word level, and they don't have to be Buddhist. They might not even experience any Buddhism. So they write it from the word level. So in other words, we have to keep an open mind here. When you keep an open mind and you have a better understanding, you can connect what the academics, what the scholars say, what the Buddha say, what the Sutta say, and then you see all more clearly and what's going on in the world today. So by keeping an open mind, you see things more clearly, you connect them together more coherently. So you need to have full attention. Your mind must be in the present. So that has to do with meditation already, right? So learning is just the beginning here, okay? And you also learn by doing here. By doing means you experience it yourself, especially through your own practice of meditation. So this is some details into the nature of learning by listening. Now the next is learning through thinking. Now here you have this beautiful statue by Rodin, Auguste Rodin, Le Penseur, the thinker, all right? So this is the wisdom to thinking, or you can call it philosophical knowledge if you like. But philosophical knowledge, of course, is more argumentative, and you normally try to prove yourself wrong by arguing against yourself. So whereas in Buddhism, we build up this understanding for self-realization. Basically, philosophical knowledge means learning to thinking means reflect on what we have heard. We go deeper into it. We ask questions. We are more thoughtful and mindful of it. Then we examine and refine what we have heard through thinking. And then wisdom arises. Okay, so this is wisdom through thinking. Then we have wisdom through meditation, mental cultivation. Here you see this monk meditating in a beautiful spot in the highest part of Thailand, near the Mae Klang waterfall, the Doi Internon National Park in Thailand, in the northern Chiang Mai. Beautiful place, no? So this is the most important way to learn. This is because it is first-hand knowledge. We experience it directly through our own meditation and experience. We see it within ourselves. It is a direct experience of true reality. Of course, you have to be careful here. It is not a reality we create in our minds. So that's why we need to study the sutta. So when we look at reality out there, we see impermanence as impermanence, not as the opposite. So what we see is something impermanent, something suffering, something not self, step by step. Normally we need to see the first one. If you can see impermanence, that's a good start already. And this kind of understanding, at least frees us from a bit of suffering, begins to show us the freedom away from suffering. So this is the nature of how we learn through mental cultivation, through meditation. So meditation doesn't only bring us peace, it also helps us to understand ourselves better. Now we look deeper. How do we learn? A little deeper, 4 stages of learning. So here you have this thinking man, okay? He's thinking about something. A very important way of learning is asking the right questions. For example, when Prince Siddhartha saw an old man, a sick man, a dead man, he asked, why? Why, what is this? He asked Chana. And then he asked, why? Why must people grow old? Why must they get sick? Why must they die? All right. And then the Bodhisattva meets the 4th side, the holy man. How do you get out of suffering? Right. So we've got to ask the right questions. In order to find the right answers, you must first ask the right question. If you ask the wrong question, then you're going to have difficulties. Notice we start with what, not with who. Because if you ask who, you're assuming there is someone you can identify with. Who is about, who are you? Okay, so that I remember someone in the past. Okay, that's you. Identify who. Okay, it's a construction, a comparison of identity. Whereas when you ask what, you're asking for information. You want to understand this thing. And then you understand why, you're asking about the reason, what's going on. And then you ask about how. It's a method of understanding, the manner of understanding. So when you ask what is this all about? What is life about? What am I about? What is life? One thing you can agree is that we all have limitations. Our knowledge is limited. Everything is limited. That is one way of looking at dukkha. First thing we can all agree with. And why is this so? Why is this so? Because, so we're looking for something. We're looking for answers. We're looking for answers, okay? So we don't know what is the answer, all right? Then how do we find the answer? How will we get to the end of the path? There is this path we must take. So once you start asking, you already begin to move on the path of wisdom. So this is how you begin to be a good Buddhist, asking yourself the right question: what, why, how, okay? Then finally, you come to more or less the answer. Whatever you can know, what is the what, why, how, is in the now, right now. If you listen well to me, that wisdom grows. But then it is not that. You cannot identify all the time with what I am saying, because what I'm saying is just for the moment. You have to, they're like steps. You step and then you go up, up, up like that, you move on, all right? So it's not that. Yes, it's true, I'm telling you those things, but it's not that. This phrase, not that, is very important. We're going to come to it near the end of our talk today, which is coming close to the end. So in other words, when you begin to grow, then you see true reality and you awaken, meaning you move on, You see true reality, you keep growing, you keep moving on. What, why, how? And all this is in the now. And the word not that is a special word in early Buddhism. It's called Atamayatā. This is a very important word. I've written an essay on this word alone. We'll be talking a bit more about this word in a while. I just want to introduce this word to you first. Then I'll explain later. So how do we truly learn now? How do we put all the things we have learned together so that we are free from suffering? Let's look at the 4 truths of knowing. What I want to know. What is it that I really want to know or need to know? Right here, you all want to know something. That's why you all are here. I want to know, right? That's why you're here. So there is that craving. Okay, oh, it's a good craving. Not all craving are bad. I want to know, but it's still craving. Okay, craving means something is missing, something not complete. Okay, notice that. All right, we're talking about, we are thinking in terms of the Four Noble Truths. All right. Then now you must ask yourself. This is a question we ask ourselves. No? Why do I want to know? Why do I want to know? Now, this is what, these are called meta questions, M-E-T-A, meta questions. In other words, we learn how to ask the right questions. We try to understand why we're asking these questions, and we try to understand what kind of answers fit these questions. So these are meta questions, questions about questions. So when you say, why do I want to know? The honest answer is, I don't know. I really don't know. That's why I want to know. It seems circular, yes, at the start. In other words, you want to know because you are ignorant. So here you see in a meta question, the essence of the essential question, there is ignorance. You notice, first one is craving, second one is ignorance. They're closely connected. These are the two roots of suffering. And how Buddha comes with a very simple explanation. No need to talk about God here. Okay, the way we think, the way we live. And now we ask, how should I know? How can I know? I want to know, and then why I want to know, I don't know why. So how am I going to know? Of course, you can resign and say, how should I know? Right? There are people who like to say, how should I know? Right? That means they don't care. They think that they can never know. But the tone is wrong. You should say, how should I know? Now, if you say it that way, it's different. That means, how can I learn? You want to learn? You have to move on. You have to go beyond what you have learned today, find out what's the next step. What is the next step? That's called the way. The way is not out there. The way is not, oh, there it is, and then you step on it. When you move forward, you have created the way for yourself. The way is your action. The way is your struggle to know, the effort you make to awaken. Okay? So now that I know, okay, so now, right now, you look at the reality, you look at your breath coming in, going out, you notice something. Now you know it is impermanent. The first thing you will notice is change, impermanence. And from there you work out. What does it mean next? Unsatisfactoriness, suffering. And then next, a bit more difficult concept, non-self. So it goes like that. All right. So this is a deeper level of learning. Now there are aspects of learning. To come back to the 3 sentences, okay? We learned that everything, all conditioned things are impermanent. That everything around us is impermanent. We have to remember that. And whatever is impermanent in the universe also is unsatisfactory. They bring suffering, okay? We can never find completeness in the universe. The universe has neither beginning nor end, all right? And then the third one is Sabbe Dhamma Anatta. All things are non-self. There is no essence in anything. All the principles, the rules of life, is about change. There is no essence, no fixity of things. That's the way things are. Remember that. Why I show this slide again is that we remember this. There is no fixedness of things. Things are changing all the time, and you got to keep up with it and find out what's going on. Now, one more point before we end. What prevents us from learning? What are the things that hinder us from learning? There are 3 things. The first is self-identity view. We think that this body, this mind is the answer. We identify with this body or mind. So that's called self-identity view, a kind of self-centeredness. So this prevents us from learning. We think we know. Say, oh, I know. I am the one. My body, I am my body, or I am my mind. Okay? So those who say I am my body are the materialists. So they say that when they die, their soul also die with them, right? Then there are others who say, oh, I'm my mind, you know. So when I die, my mind lives on as consciousness, as the soul. Okay, so that's self-identity view. Then there is doubt. Doubt here means you don't know something, but you're not curious to know, and that prevents learning also. So it's very important to be curious, meaning to find out why is it I don't know this? What is it I don't know about? Let me find out more. How can I know more? How should I question this? All right. Now there is one more, attachment to rituals and vows. So we think that because we don't know, maybe if we follow certain rituals, make certain vows, we can find the answer. For example, in ancient India, they believe in fire worship. Why do they worship fire? Because they have this belief that the god of fire, Agni, actually lives in the wood, in the materials that bring fire. So when they rub the fire stick together, they are waking up the god. And the god wakes up, and then there's fire. There's the god in front of us, you know. So these two priests are very happy. These are not Buddhist priests, they are Hindu priests. They are performing a fire ritual. Now, watch carefully this picture. I'm going to make it disappear, okay? Let's see what happens. All right, here you are. You have this temple painting of the Bodhisattva in a past life. In the past life, our Bodhisattva, the Buddha in the past life, was also a fire worshipper. So here you see him worshipping fire. There's fire in front of him. And the story goes according to the Nangutta Jataka, J144. He tells the story. He says, okay, I was this fire worshipper long time ago, and I got this cow I'm going to sacrifice to the fire. But then I don't have salt, because according to the ancient belief, you need salt. See, without salt, this god will not eat the food you offer. Okay, the story goes, all right? So he goes into the village to get salt. But while he was away, the Jataka story goes, a thief comes along, or maybe a few thieves came along, and they saw the cow, and then they killed the cow, they killed the ox, and they roasted the meat and ate it, leaving only the skin and the tail behind. So this Bodhisattva went away quite long, I suppose. So he came back with the salt. Then he found, say, oh no, the cow is gone. This offering is stolen, you know. Now he was a very practical, very wise Bodhisattva. So he thought about this. Remember, he think about this, he asked questions. He says, wow, look at this. This offering is for the fire god, Agni. Now, so he tells this fire god, he says, look, I made this offering for you. And if you are unable to protect your own offering, how can you ever protect me? Very interesting question here. You say, how can you ever protect me? And from that moment onwards, he gave up fire worshipping. Now, that's a very wise Bodhisattva, right? So this is a lesson for us to question whatever we believe. Okay, this is a Nangutta Jataka J144. So when we talk about impediments to knowledge, how to overcome hindrances to knowledge, we've got to understand what is self-identity view, that there is no self, there is only self-view. So we don't really need to teach there's no self. We should say there's only self-view. What we got to rid of is not the self. We got to get rid of this view, this wrong view that we have, that there is a self. That's the meaning here. So we got to let go of the idea of I, the idea of me, idea of mine, especially when we want to heal ourselves. When we talk like now, communicating is okay. It's called conventional language. But when we really want to heal ourselves, we got to speak without using I, me, mine. We don't say I am suffering. We say there is suffering here. It is not me who's suffering. There is suffering here. Pain is arising. Okay, so you don't, in this way, you don't own the pain. So here, I, me, mine are conventional terms. There is really no seer, no hearer, no smeller, no taster, no feeler, no thinker. There's no person behind the act. There's only the action. Only the present moment of our acting exists, moving, changing. So, to learn is to change. We notice change and we ourselves change. That's why letting go of self is important. We learn to change. We're not fixed on the idea that we are that. Okay. So knowing this, we examine it, right? And of course, there are questions. And when the second factor is doubt. Now, if you don't deal with doubt, then it becomes ignorance. That means our inability or refusal to acknowledge what really is happening right now. We don't know. We don't want to know. Then it becomes ignorance, which is not helpful. So we must ask why. Why? Okay. So we've got to be curious. As Buddhists, we must be curious, especially about ourselves. Why am I feeling like this? Why am I suffering? Why am I reacting very badly to this suffering? Why? For example, someone may, a young man falls in love, and then or a young person falls in love, and then the partner betrays him or her, and he gets very upset, and he thinks that all men or all women are bad. We cannot think like that. We must ask what's going on here. What do I do about this? This is a why game. So next time you have a problem, use the why game. So you're angry with someone. You're very angry with someone. Okay. So ask yourself, why am I angry with someone? And then, oh, this person did something. This person came back home late. Okay, then ask, why did he come back home late? Or maybe he has to work long hours. Why has he to work long hours? So you go asking question. This is one of the ways of solving problem in the Vitakka Santana Sutta. You ask why? Until the end you find all the questions are answered, and then you say, oh, now I see clearer what's going on. This is called the why game. The why questioning, to go through the whole way of thinking to make sure that we're not thinking wrongly. So remember this strategy, thinking strategy. So doubt holds us back to delusion, right? So if we don't deal with doubt, it becomes a belief, and we actually think this is real. That's called delusion. So what we can say is about this next thing is, what should I do about it? Then you try to look for answers outside of you. Then you keep on repeating something you want to do, and you might even make promises. But when you fix your mind in this way, then you prevent yourself from learning the right thing, because you're attached to a pattern of behavior, and you go into around in a rut, same behavior all the time. You become attached to the rituals, to the vows, to the way of thinking, and you even think that someone or something outside of you, an agent, is able to help you. Can help you, make you happy, make you powerful, even holy. And this can be serious, because insanity is said to be doing the same thing again and again and expecting different results, right? So it's a very dangerous thing to do. You keep, some people, they keep praying and praying, hoping for something to happen, which cannot happen. So an example of this is OCD, obsessive compulsive disorder, like, washing mania. You're going washing because you have the sense that, oh, I'm not pure and so on, okay? Of course, I'm not saying these are bad guys. It's just that I'm just using it as an example. People think they need to do something over and over. But when they understand really what's going on, what the symptoms are pointing to, then they correct themselves, all right? So all these are because we are rooted in ignorance, craving, and fear. So we are caught up with all this attachment to rituals and vows. Now we come to this one or two more slides and finish. We come to this important word for you to know before we end, Atamayatā. Remember I mentioned earlier, Atamayatā means not thatness. It's a very interesting word. How is it formed? You break up the word, you have A meaning no, not. And then tang, this is the keyword, tang meaning that, not that, okay? Maya made of, remember, Cinta Maya, Bhavana Maya, right, made of. Ta is ness, nah? not thatness. This is a kind of applying non-self into our what we see around us, not thatness. Not thatness of any or all of our experiences. We are not whatever we experiences through our senses. All those are changing. Don't get caught up with it. All our senses are changing. We're not made up of that. It is all passing thoughts. So don't own the pain. When you get upset, when you're angry, don't own it. It is passing, it's going away. Don't identify with it. Then the suffering is less. This is called Atamayatā. You want to read more about Atamayatā? Go to SD 19.13. Okay, there's a whole essay on that. Okay, we're going during the close, so we have a sutta here to remind us of the teachings. The Buddha in the Atamayā Sutta, the discourse on who is not that, A604, the Buddha says, Bhikshus, here Buddha said bhikshus, he's addressing us today as meditators and those who study suttas, those who listen to him. Being 6 advantages, among, that is we should find it sufficient to establish the perception of non-self. So we should reflect on non-self in all things without exception. What are the 6? These are the 6 perception of non-self. Number 1, I shall be no part of all the world, right? The world is what it is. I'm not it. That's the world. That's the nature of the world. I don't have to be, I'm not part of it. Number 2, I making will vanish in me. I'm not going to create ideas of I am this, I am that. Okay, I'm going to let go of that, because when I do that, I will encourage selfishness, self-centeredness, narcissism. Mind making will vanish in me. So I'm not going to say this is mine, that is mine, and get caught up with it, in other words. Okay, it doesn't mean you don't own things. It doesn't mean you're not responsible. It's that you don't get caught up with the idea that I own this, this is mine, you know, that kind of idea, and then fix with it. I shall be accomplished in uncommon knowledge. When you study Dhamma, you learn new things which you have not heard before, which in some ways go against what you know, and you think, wow, this is something new, something different, and you're surprised by it in a good way. I shall well understand causes. You see why something happens. There are conditions. A better word is conditions, actually, right? Conditional causes, if you like. And you also understand those states that follow all these conditions and causes. So these are 6 things which are very deep. So just, I'm giving it to you to just think about, maybe you can understand part of it, all right? So the Buddha says, bhikshus, seeing the 6 advantages, a monk should find it sufficient to establish the perception of non-self in all things without exception. In all things without exception, all right? Whatever goes on around you. And then, right, in closing, the Buddha says, in the Adipatteya Sutta, A340, who subdues Mara overcomes death. Mara is a lot of death, our senses. We overcome that, in other words, we attain nirvana. Who strives touches the end of birth. So you go on meditating, you study Dhamma, you understand, wisdom arises, you reach the end of rebirth. That one is wise, a knower of worlds. You understand the meaning of the word worlds. The 3 worlds which I've learned about. The conditioned world, which is created by our own mind, you're free of that. The stage has nothing to do with all states. You have nothing to do with the world. You're free from suffering. Sabbesu dhammesu atamayo munihoti. There you are, atamayo. Atamayo is the adjective, not that. Muni is the wise sage. So there you are. There's Mara trying to distract the Buddha, and he's safe from them. He's happy and he's calm because he's free from suffering. He's fully awakened. And for that, we say the Buddha is knower of the worlds, and this is by way of summary. What we can know, how we can know. Okay, what we can know, how we can know through the eye, what we can know are the forms, how we know through the ear, what we can know are sounds. The ear is the instrument for knowing. We know smells through it. The tongue is the instrument, we know taste through it. Body is the instrument, we know touches through it. Then the mind, we know thoughts, mind object through it. So this is the all. Okay, this is the everything. This is our world. In the Sabha Sutta, this is from the Sabha Sutta, text 35.33, the Buddha says, Bhikshus, I will teach you the all. Listen to it, and what Bhikshu is the all? The eye and forms, the ear and sounds, the nose and smells, the tongue and tastes, body and touches, the mind and mind objects. Notice you have sense faculty, sense object. So there are 6 pairs. This is called the all. In other words, that's all there is. That's all you can know. Because if anyone were to say thus, rejecting this all, I shall make known another all. There's something more than this. That would be empty talk on his part. When questioned, he will not be able to reply. Moreover, he will make vexation. You can have a lot of difficulties because it's impossible to have anything beyond this. What is the reason? Because bhikshus, it is not within his domain. It's not possible to go beyond this. So there you are. I have spoken what I need to speak to you this morning. You have about 15 minutes for question time. Okay, Ratna?
Okay, thank you, Piya. This one, the announcement for the next class. The next class will be on 22nd of August. So do mark this date in your calendar.
Sankara part 2.
Okay. So, Piya, we go on to Q&A now.
Yeah,
Could
sure.
you please stop sharing your screen?
Right, stop sharing. Yes. Okay. Okay, here we are.
Okay. Could you please turn on your video so that we can have better interaction? Okay. Now I have a few questions in the chat box. I will just read them out for you, Piya.
Yep, sure.
All right. The first question is from Wong Fan Ling. The question is, the word of formations. Formation is plural, but why is it Saṅkhārā loka instead of Saṅkhārā loka? Is it a mistake?
No, it's not a mistake, because it's an adjective. It's an adjective. Normally, when the long R is in the middle of a word, it gets shortened. It becomes like an adjective. Even the word metta means loving kindness, but then you say metta sutta, so it sometimes becomes short. It's just grammar. It doesn't mean it's an error or anything like that. Okay, so it's the way Pali is spelled. It's a very observant question. It's a very good question. Okay, right.
Okay, thank you.
Let's go on.
Next one is from Brother Henry. He asked, there are 2 questions. I read you the first one. Is it Sabbe Saṅkhārā also anatta?
No. Well, Sabbe Saṅkhārā includes anatta, but there are, in other words, you see, for example, space. Space is also not conditioned, but it's regarded as non-self. So these are just a bit of technicality. There is another essay with details on why this is so. The formations are suffering because of the way they're conditioned, and so because they're impermanent, Whereas Dhamma refers to the principles, the rules behind all these things, the nature of all these things, and that is impermanent. It's a bit more deep inside, in other words. It's the nature of things. Okay, go on.
Okay, the next one is, why is the translated Sabbe Dhamma Anatta as all things are non-self instead of all conditions are non-self?
It includes all conditioned things also, because Dhamma is a more inclusive idea. Okay? It's a broader term. Yeah.
Broader term. So he said, is it all things in the world are conditioned?
Yeah, yes. So all things in this world, all this thing in other worlds, elsewhere, even things in the past, in the future, not happen, they also will be like that. That's the meaning. Okay.
Okay.
Excluding
this,
nirvana. Yeah,
all right.
excluding nirvana. Yes.
Nirvana also?
No, nirvana is not included. Nirvana
Also,
cannot be attributed. We cannot say that nirvana is like this, nirvana is that. You can't, because nirvana is unconditioned. It's not opposite of this world, so to speak. Okay.
okay, thank you. So that is the answer for your
Yes.
question, Sister Wong Funding. That's answer already. Your question already answered regarding Nirvana.
Yes.
Okay, now anybody else has any question? This is
Oh, sorry. May I ask the question?
Okay, go here. Yes.
Thank you. If all things are conditioned, how can the conditioned reach the unconditioned?
You can't. Condition is opposite of unconditioned. So we have to, it's how we see things, you see. We notice things, cause effect, and they're not there. By the time you see it, it's gone already, you see. There's many a condition. For example, you see this, there was this nice flower here, and then a few hours later it wilts. The next day it's already wilted. It's kind of gone down. So that is conditioning. So it's not a thing, it's a process, you see? It's a process of change. So if it's a process, you cannot take it, stop it anywhere, you can't, you see? It's already, when I say it is, it's gone already. Whereas Nirvana is not like that. No, Nirvana is beyond all this process. Nirvana is that the fire that has gone out. There's nothing to talk about anymore, right? No more COVID. Where has COVID gone? No more. Just like that, okay? So some kind of answers you have to let it float in your mind, and you see things around you, okay? It's just like you sit beside a pond, and then you see the ripples coming to you, and after the ripples become very calm. Where have the ripples gone? Nowhere, because the ripples is simply a response of the conditions of the water, something drop in it, and then that's it, you see? It's not a thing. It's a process, it's a change, condition.
all right.
So we can only say, in a manner of speaking, yeah, you can say the conditions become still, becomes calm, it stops. So that's a way of talking, yes. It stops when we let go of the idea of wanting these things to be what they are. For example, we want this flower to remain fresh forever, which is not possible, right? So it's a way we think. We've got to let go of the impossible. We've got to let go of the idea of something permanent, that there is a self behind it, that it is possible that it won't change. It's not like that. Okay? All right, let's go on.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else has any question?
So let me just add one more point. Sometimes you ask questions to some teachers, they may give you certain answers, and then you find you're not happy with it, okay? Because the answer is not complete. To be honest with you, no answers are complete until you yourself understand exactly what's going on. So the answers that you get is to help you further look at the situation, think deeper, and then connect it with in your own life what's going on. Okay, so that's the way it works. It's not like once I give the answer, that's it, it's final and everything is gone, everything is done, everything is complete. Not like that. Only when you're awakened, then things are complete, so to speak. All right, we have a few minutes more. Yes, any other questions?
Okay, yes. Another question in the chat box from Lester. He asked, non-self with a hyphen equals to not self with a hyphen?
This one is more like grammar. Non-self, that means you don't see this situation anyway. It's not there at all. When we say not self, then we are saying, okay, the I is not self. Because why? You cannot really own it. You cannot control it. It will decay by itself. So it is more, not self is more like an adjective, whereas non-self is more of a noun, a state, relating to a reality. Okay, so this is mainly the way we talk in terms of grammar, if you like. Okay.
All right, thank you, Piya. Any more questions, please, on the floor?
A couple of minutes.
Brother Tan, Brother Piya, I want to ask about the not self and non-self.
Okay, who is it now?
I'm from Malaysia, Wong Fan Ling.
Okay, yes, funding, yeah.
Yeah, because I saw some contradictions explanatory regarding this. So some say anatta should be translated as non-self, but some say it's not non-self, it's not self. So I also see some of it's by Tani. It's a vulnerable, so they have essays about this. So it's quite confusing. So whether anatta is not self or non-self, or as you say, it's just a way to. Yeah.
Okay, don't worry about words, because this is a problem with translation, and you find many translators may differ in the way to translate words, and we never make that a problem when you understand the Pali tradition, you understand the Sutta tradition. Words are like instruments, okay? Not self, non-self. I don't use not self because it's limited. It is an adjective, whereas non-self is more broad. See, yeah, this is a big argument among scholars. Discussion. Thanissaro uses not self, and also there is even another discussion whether we should put a hyphen or not, non-self hyphen or without. I find if we don't have to use a hyphen, it's much better, isn't it? Why make it more when it can be less, for example? So these are purely language, right? So when you really want to understand the Dhamma, don't be too troubled by what people say, because sometimes Dhamma speakers will use different words for those terms. But ask yourself, what is he talking about? What is don't worry about the finger. Don't say, oh, the finger is crooked, or this finger is longer than that finger. Where does the finger point? Okay, where the finger point, that is what is important. The words are not important. I know there are many like forest monk teachers, the English is not very good. And sometimes they talk very funny, you feel like laughing also because their grammar is very strange. But then when you listen carefully, wow, he's talking about something very profound, very deep. So we don't laugh at him and say, oh, his grammar is terrible. I don't think we should listen to him. It's not like that, right? So bad grammar, even the wrong words, we should find out what is the person trying to say. Where is the teaching? And then you read on from there. After that, you don't think about those teachers anymore. You don't think about those speakers already, because you are facing yourself. In the end, you face yourself. Do I understand this? And the understanding in your mind is beyond words. It is the freedom from suffering. That's what it's about. What do you want to understand? Not in the form of words in your head, not at all. All this understanding make you have a sense of spaciousness, of brightness, happiness. You don't think about it, you see? So you got to rise above the language, level of words, level of language, level of thoughts, and then beyond thoughts, level of peace. That's what happens in meditation. When you sit doing breath meditation, you calm your mind, you calm the breath, thoughts come, you let go of the thoughts. In the end, no thoughts. Peace, the level of no words, no thoughts. So it doesn't matter whether it's not self or non-self, but these are the scholars' problem. They argue that's fine. If you want, you can also write essays that are very interesting ways of writing, but it doesn't solve the problem. It doesn't make us understand better. Oh, this is what not-self is. You have to experience it by dropping that little piece of stick, a small little twig into the water, and you see the ripples move. And then you say, oh, moving yet not moving. Whether it is not self or non-self doesn't matter, but you see the ripples moving, you experience it directly. For example, when you do cooking, one cook will say, you put this ingredient, another cook says, put that ingredient. You can't say who's right, who's wrong. You mix it yourself and then you taste it, you say, oh, okay, this I like this taste, or I don't like that taste. So don't get caught up with the tools. All right, don't get caught up with the tools, understand the usage of tools, and then look at the end product. What is it about? Remember, ask the right questions, and from there you get the answers. Is that fair enough?
Yes, thank you.
Okay.
And can I ask another one about
Yeah,
the
sure.
Nibbana just now? You're saying that Dhamma is means all things, which include conditioned and unconditioned things.
Correct.
And Nibbana itself, it's unconditioned things.
Yeah.
But why is that in that sentence, Sabbe Dhamma Anatta is excluding Nibbana?
Yeah.
Nibbana is also Anatta, right? Why is it?
Not okay. The last one is not true. Nirvana cannot be said to be anatta, because once you say nirvana is anatta, you are qualifying nirvana. Nirvana is something compared to something else. This is problem with language and also the nature of nirvana. Remember what I told you about language in Pali Sutta context. Certain words you have to give it space. Now, yes, we do say in terms of words, nirvana is unconditioned. Nirvana has got no condition, but that much in words we can say. But nirvana is neither this nor that. The fire has gone out. We cannot say the fire has gone anywhere. So although we say nirvana is unconditioned, we cannot include it in Dhamma, because Dhamma is a state. A state means they rise and fall. There is impermanence. Nirvana is not like that. So this is the very fine area of Buddhist philosophy already. We're talking about nirvana. Because once you can talk about nirvana, it's like talking about God. Then you have a serious problem. People can argue and say God doesn't exist, and then so on. But nobody can prove nirvana doesn't exist. Because nirvana is called the necessary solution. If there's no nirvana, there's no end to suffering. Nirvana is the end of suffering. Nirvana is when the fire is put out. Where has the fire gone? There's no answer for that, but we know the fire is gone. And we know when the fire, meaning greed, hatred, delusion is gone, we don't suffer. That much we can agree. More than that, you need to be awakened yourself to understand. So I cannot say that, oh, I understand completely now. I'm not awakened, you see. So we are all unawakened. We're talking about something awakened. It's quite tricky. The simple idea is you cannot qualify, you cannot attribute qualities to nirvana. Nirvana neither exists nor not exists. The fire has gone out. When the fire has gone out, what can you say about it? Nothing. But the fact that fire has gone out is good. Our house is safe. That's one way of we can talk that way. I don't know whether you get my drift or not. Can follow? More or less. Yeah, I know.
Then in this case, then what's the unconditioned things refers to in the Sabbe Dhamma Anatta?
Okay.
What's the unconditioned things refers to in
For
this?
example, space. Space
is unconditioned things.
Yeah. Space is one of those unconditioned things. Yeah. Vacuum, space is vacuum, but it is unconditioned in the sense that we say it's empty in connection with something which is present. For example, I occupy a Piya-shaped space, so, but that space also of me is unconditioned. It's just a way of talking in this case.
Can we find any resources talking about space is not conditioned things in any suttas?
Possible. It's more of an Abhidhamma thing, I think. Okay. Yeah. So, on the other hand, in the suttas, you often see Asankata as referring to nirvana. But you must remember, you cannot equate it with Dhamma. There's a bit of discussion here. But some scholars actually say Nirvana is unconditioned, therefore it is non-self. There are forest monks I know who say that's not true. Nirvana cannot have any attributes. Luckily, I learned philosophy, so I understand what he's saying. You see, Nirvana cannot have attributes. You see? In a sense, we are not wrong when we say Nirvana has no self. You see? In manner of speaking, you see. But then we are bringing Nirvana down to like the Buddha when he's alive. You see, now the Buddha is in Nirvana when he's alive. He's awakened. He has no self. Yeah, at that point you say it's true. But if you talk about Nirvana after Buddha has passed away, there's nothing there. I mean, even to say nothing is not right, because nothing means you're comparing it to something. You see the problem here? This is very deep philosophy. Nothing means there's, to understand nothing, you must understand there is something. Then Nirvana is not conditioned already, because it's conditioned to the way we talk. You see? So you can see the problem of language here.
But why is that space is unconditioned? I thought space also is one of our perception that we have space. Like Einstein said, space and time is only illusion. It's
True.
not existing.
Yeah.
So why is that?
That is true too. Space is unconditioned in itself. It is nothing. It's a vacuum. There's nothing there. In that sense, it is not conditioned. In that sense. Okay. More than that, I think we got to go into quantum physics already. So, like I said, we are very thin air here, problem of language already. All right. Maybe you might go to some teachers, they will tell you, oh, Nirvana is unconditioned. Yeah, and then they'll tell you why. So it's okay, fine, you know, we don't have to, you know, fight over it. It's just an opinion. But remember, an opinion is just provisional. It is not something forever. All ideas we have are provisional. If we can accept that, then we can respect each other. We don't have to worry about difference of opinions, because we are not awakened anyway. So that freedom is very important in Buddhism. We don't kill each other because one person says Nirvana is conditioned, the other say not conditioned, and we go to war. Some religions do that, you know, but we don't. We say, yeah, fine, okay, that's the way you think, you know. Okay.
Thanks for the clarification, because as beginner, it's quite confusing when we see got two answers.
Yes, very true, very true. So if you're a beginner, don't worry about Nirvana, okay? That's the end of the goal. So build up your foundation first. Well, I'm so happy that I'm proud of you all. You survived this quite difficult talk, man. Sankara is quite a difficult topic. So we'll end here for today.
There's still a lot of questions in the chat box. You want to extend the class, or what's everybody thinking? Do you want to extend?
A few more minutes. All right with you all? Just to answer the question, yeah? Anyone
Yes,
don't mind?
finish the questions, yes, please.
Okay, people don't mind. Yeah.
I will read out the question.
Yep. Yes.
Okay. From Chin Li Chin. Is it to say there is no flower?
Okay. I wouldn't go that far, okay? The flower is there, you can see it. The world out there is real. Otherwise, you walk to a wall, you know, you won't feel anything. You will feel pain, you walk into a wall. So you cannot say the wall doesn't exist. The point is, everything there is the way we see it, and it affects us. The way we see the world affects how we behave, how we act, and that causes us suffering. And because we see wrongly, we can also bring suffering to others. For example, the way different cultures perceive females, you know, then they make all kinds of rules, make the women do this, wear that, and so on. And it causes suffering because that's how they perceive the world. So how we perceive the world causes suffering. So we've got to understand the world as it is, then there is less chances of suffering. That's the meaning. See the world as it is. Okay, next question.
All right. Another question is from Gexiu. Are plants classified under Okasa Loka?
Yes, plants is part of the what do you call it? Space-time world. Yeah. Plants are called single facultative lives. They don't have mind. They only have this physical body only. They don't have a mind. Okay. But they are alive in the sense that they respond to stimulus, that's all, but they have no mind.
All right. Next one is just a statement from Goh Hin Kui. He says that the explanation on beyond words is very good. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu to Brother Piya.
Thank you.
Okay, next one is why non-self is obvious to some but not anatta from Chin Li Chin.
Non-self is the most difficult to understand. Begin with understanding impermanence first, then suffering is not so difficult to understand. And then in time, maybe non-self will come to you. Remember, only the Arahat truly understand the nature of non-self. It's not easy at all. But it is enough for us as lay people to understand the nature of suffering. We can attain stream winning, like BA level, you know. You have to go beyond that, you got to take MA, PhD. Okay, that one in time to come, we can do that. But you must build up the impermanence level first. Okay?
Okay.
Right.
Then we have another question from Mayang.
Yes.
Is space equal to nirvana or close to nirvana?
Space. No, totally unrelated. Space is regarded as part of this world. Yeah. This is Abhidhamma already. Huh? Okay. Go on.
Okay, that's all.
That's
think,
all. Okay.
in case if I miss out any question, anybody want to raise? So all the questions are covered. Can we have a video?
Right, let's take
a picture. Just take a photo.
Yeah.
Please turn on your video, please.
Yeah.
Thank you,
right.
everyone.
So let us now spend a quiet moment to close. We have gathered together here on this Sunday as an act of renunciation. We've given up our time to spend listening to teaching on the 5 aggregates. And we started off by reflecting, by keeping the 5 precepts, 3 refuges, 5 precepts. We did some meditation, and then we listened to a Dhamma talk. All these are very good karma. So, by the power of all these good deeds we have done, may we all be well and happy, protected from harm and danger in these difficult times. It also means that we have to be wise in our actions so that we stay healthy and safe, and also guide others, those who are close and dear to us, help them to be mindful, protect them. These are difficult times for us to learn more mindfulness. And we, at this point, show our gratitude to the 3 jewels because we are gathered in their name to learn the Dhamma, to the Buddha, our teacher, to the Dhamma, the true teaching, and the Sangha, the noble disciples. Arahang Samma Sambuddho Bhagava Buddhang Bhagavantang Abhivademi. Bow down. Swakato Bhagavata Dhammo Dhammang Namasami. Bow down. Supatipanno Bhagavato Sāvaka Sangho Sanghang Namami. Bow down. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Okay, so have a nice weekend, everyone. Hope the weather is kind to you. And everything is passing. The seasons are passing. Even all the floods will go away. So don't worry. Just stay safe, please.